Good morning. My name is Kathy Wade, your worship associate for this morning's service. Heritage is a welcoming community caring for and nurturing the minds and hearts and spirits of all people, regardless of race or creed, age or gender, life experience, or our particular beliefs. So we welcome you all, whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us via Zoom. We say hello, Zoomers. If you're a first-time visitor, welcome. Please do sign our guest book in the lobby and connect with our greeter from the Board of Trustees, who this morning is Gary Wilson. Where are you, Gary? Back in the back with the lovely orange shirt. And Gary will be happy to talk with you after the service and give you a tour if you like. Please also take a look at the two-sided sheet that includes today's order of service and other important announcements. You'll find lots of opportunities to get involved and to be of service in this community and beyond. And if you were looking at all this morning, you noticed that we had a big activity last evening here at Heritage to welcome all kinds of families, neighbors and others, families. I'd like to give a shout out to Meredith Meyer and Barbara Hackey. And who? Kate Capea. And Meredith's going to share a little bit this morning, if she's awake enough. I'm sure she was up last night. Meredith?
Good morning. I'm Meredith Meyer. So last night we had our first fall festival and haunted trail that was separated from the auction. This is the first year we've done it as a standalone event. So we weren't sure how that was going to go. And I think, first of all, the most important thing to say is thank you to this congregation. So many people showed up to volunteer, to help out. Even if you didn't have kids with you, people showed up and had a drink and had a hot dog. There were just so many hands helping. It felt like more hands than ever before even. So it felt like the power of this congregation came out, and just really, really appreciate that. We had about 80 kids there last night. Our goal is to break even on that event. We really just want to bring families to our church and to see and experience what we have. We did actually make about $500 last night. So that was good. Yeah, I felt excited. This year it'll go back to the church, but next year that just means we can make it bigger. So we have a bigger budget. So just excited to continue trying to bring families and kids. And it was so fun in the haunted trail to see. I think there were about 20 tweeny sort of kids back there scaring and being a part of it, and just like really happy to be at Heritage. So that was awesome. Just a couple of things for any kids who are here. The inflatables are actually still here. So we're going to pop those up after church and you can play in them, or adults can play in them. There's a joust if anyone wants to fight. But we also need your help. So if many hands make light work. We need to take down a bunch of lights, some tents, bring in extension cords. So after you have a bite to eat and chat with people, if you would just donate like 10 minutes of carrying stuff in, we would appreciate that so we can get everything cleaned up. But otherwise, just thank you to everyone. I think people are feeling really good after last night's event.
Thank you, Meredith. I think the event really says a lot about who we are, and I'll just leave it there. One more reminder to you, if you're here in person, please set your phones on airplane mode, or you can turn them off, since the signal can interfere with our internet system. And Reverend Bill will call us to worship.
it was a heck of an event. And there is proof, I've seen the proof floating around that some adults did enter the competition. I survived too. Listen. Our opening words today are from Rachel Rott. Welcome, you questioners, seekers of truth with a capital T, pilgrims longing for sanctuary, travelers needing harbor from the storm. Welcome those who are holding on by a thread, determined breakers of the chains of loneliness and isolation. You push through your fear because something told you that you deserve to belong. Welcome home. Welcome those who braid ropes again and again. You've been there for our siblings who were just hanging on. You gave them a hand in a community and told them they could rest here. Welcome, you who seek spiritual and religious community for your children and grandchildren. You entrust your young people here, and we as a community commit to nurture and respect them. Welcome, children and youth. You give us the gift of your wisdom, your joy, your curiosity, and your trust that we will hold all of it safe. We will. Welcome. Welcome home. How do we make this tender place wider? How do we stretch into the bolder welcome, a radical generosity of the heart? Can we imagine ourselves the stewards and ushers not only into this space, but into our circle of belonging? Can we commit and recommit to being accountable to one another as an anti-racist, anti-oppressive community that centers marginalized voices, that listens to those voices, especially when what they are saying is hard to hear? Can we be willing to change? When we break our agreements with one another, can we offer amends? Can we be humble and generous? There is grace enough here. There is in this place the possibility of healing, of repair, of making things right within ourselves, between us, and with the wider world. There is in this place possibility. Welcome home. And let us worship together. Thank you, Katie. And if all of you would be willing to join as you're willing and able in song and standing up if you can to our hymn, Where Do We Come From? Then remain standing for our covenant.
Bull, there we go. Here in the sanctuary and hi Zoomers. Let's see, I think we're going to get a number of word lines up here. Okay. Well, let's see, a you, and a, no, I'm not going to tell a joke. I'm the music guy, not the humor guy. This is going to be group one. This is going to be group two. There we go. So it's not really going to be a round. It's going to be more like two parts. We're all going to sing the first line, and then we're all going to sing the third line. And then group one, you're going to keep doing the first line and do it over and over. And group two, you're going to do the third line and do it over and over. And I'll cue you in. It'll be easy. It'll make sense. Honest. Sherry's going to play it for us first.
Okay, so everybody's going to sing this to start with. Where do we come from? Where are we? Where are we going?
Everybody sing along. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Okay, then the
That's
last,
what you'll sing the whole time.
that's what you'll sing the whole time. And group two is going to sing mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
Okay, group two. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Okay, so
Okay, here
we're
we-
all going to sing Where Do We Come From? What Are We? Where Are We Going twice. And then I'm going to have you people break off and do Mystery, Mystery. And we'll do that a bunch of times.
Okay, I 1, 2, 3,
Everybody.
4.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we? Keep singing that. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Nice. Louder, group 2.
It's a riddle and a mystery.
Thank you. Nice.
And please remain standing for our covenant. By this covenant, we affirm that.
To the end, that all souls shall recognize our the divine. Sweet covenant with each other and with God.
So next Sunday, the September 21st, is considered the first official start of our RE season, our religious education season for kids. And so, wait, did I say something wrong? Oh, sorry. I am Lacey Adams, Director of Lifespan Faith Development here at Heritage. So the educational work of our congregation is like my primary responsibility. And so at the eve of our beginning of a new thing, not a wholly new thing, but a somewhat new thing, it seemed like it was a useful moment to sort of share with the congregation where we are going as a congregation in terms of our religious education programming. First, I have been doing, and we're going to continue to do, thematic religious education programming. We try to adapt what we do on Sundays to what happens in church, so that there's some connection between what the kids are doing and what the adults are doing. However, that doesn't always work, so we do generally have a theme for how we approach a unit of time with the kids. So for the rest of September and November, we're doing building belonging as a theme, and we have different ways of doing that same work. And so we're starting on next Sunday with like the fall sort of start, and then over the course of the Sundays of September and October, we will do that in a variety of ways. Some of those will be all ages worship. Almost every potluck Sunday, the kids do kitchen creations and potluck prep. So if you are at a potluck, the tables have likely been set up and the plates have been put out, and at least some of the food has been made by our kids. So next time you're at a potluck and you're sitting at a chair or at a table, know that is our kids participating in and creating a space for community for all of you. And it's an important part of how they think of how they contribute to our potluck. So that will be true of today as it will be in other potluck Sundays. We do all ages worship at some point in time in almost every unit, and then we are really grateful to have Charlotte Laughlin, who serves as our children's music director, and she is with us about every 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the time of year. So she will engage the kids musically in the theme. So we have a full September and October planned and for our kids. Generally, we run what is called a one-room schoolhouse. That means that our kids from about 5 to 12 are together in their religious education time. Obviously, our tweens and teens are welcome to do that, and some join. Many of our teenagers are some of the best teachers, RE teachers, and so you will often see our teenagers helping lead RE, and they're fabulous at it. But generally, we're aiming at 5 to 12. And so for our 13 and ups we are offering new forms of programs. So the Citywide OWL this year will be offering OWL Our Whole Lives. That's our values-based sex education curriculum. So all the churches in Cincinnati get together and we offer OWL. We will be offering junior high and senior high OWL in this church year. So because we have, yay, because of the pandemic, we have high schoolers who have not received OWL yet. So we are excited to get them before they go to college. We offered our first annual Pride Camp this year for LGBTQ teenagers, supporting next year's Pride Camp and the teenagers that we have started to serve in the LGBTQ community. We are starting to have LGBTQ youth events that will be a monthly queer kids, queer youth group. We're starting in October. Those will be the second Friday of every month. If you are an LGBTQ adult or a very strong ally, I am always looking for other folks to help shepherd our young people in this way, and we try to make it a very queer-centered space for those teenagers. So if you are a queer adult, I need you to be present with me as we make space for queer teenagers. And I was actually really grateful at Pride Camp this year. Pride Camp was made possible by the volunteer, almost 50 plus volunteer hours by LGBTQ adult members of this congregation. So that's something new that we're doing. And then the lifespan part of my, there's the word lifespan in my job title. That's the L, if anyone wonders. And if you ever say, Lacey's the director of something, when you hit the lifespan part, that means that I am also responsible for adult religious education, or some portion of the adult religious education. And one of the things that we are adding to the lifespan, all of its lifespan, but this part of the lifespan, is a Spirituality of series in support of the work that we are doing around the action of immediate witness. We are going to start that spirituality series with the Spirituality of Democracy in October, during the last week of October. That will be followed up by the Spirituality of World Repair in November, and either in December or January, we will do the Spirituality of Resistance for those of you who might be participating in and desiring to know more about how to resist, do direct action or other forms of resistance from a spiritually grounded space. So those are the first 3 installations of a Spirituality of series, which we will be offering for adults. And then hopefully there will be more new announcements in the new calendar year about other adult especially offerings. But this is where we are this fall. If any of these things sound exciting, I am always looking for adults who want to be with kids, who are interested in teaching OWL, or who want to participate in the design, leadership, feedback of, or participate in adult offerings. So please know that you can always get in touch with me.
Thank you, Lacey. We are really blessed to have Lacey, her energy, and a lot of volunteers that make a lot of great things happen here. And I see more coming. But Lacey said, I could lead Time for All Ages today, which is one of my favorite things to do. Any chance any folks of any age would like to come up and join me, especially some of the maybe younger ones or young at heart? Again, I saw a lot of these folks last night, so they might be a little bit tired. Yeah? Yeah? Anybody else is welcome to come on up. We got another one coming. Got a couple of questions. Who are you? Who are you? Yeah. Okay. My name is Crosley. That's a way to answer a question like that. That's great. Who are you? My name is Kate. Yeah, Kate. But who's Kate? Me. Yeah. How would I know who Kate me is? What else should I ask to learn more about who you really are? What's a question I could ask? Anybody else have an idea what I could ask Kate or one of you? Remy's got an answer.
What do you like?
I could ask, what do you like? Yeah, what's something you like, Kate? Anything. Volleyball. There you go. Who else? What else might I ask someone besides what do they like to find out who they are? What's your favorite food? What is your favorite food, William? You like Cincinnati chili. Anybody else like Cincinnati chili? Anybody else a little so-so on Cincinnati chili? Okay. So I really do want to get to know all of you, and I know all of you a little bit. It's an important question. What would, if one of these people wanted to know more about you, what's a fair question they could ask you?
What's your favorite thing?
What's your favorite thing? So during potluck, we could, to one another, say, you know, I just heard this question. I wonder, Bruce, what's your favorite thing? It's a good answer. For those of you who couldn't see on Zoom, Bruce's favorite thing is Robin, which is a good thing. You think you would want to know anything more about me?
I don't know.
Well, if you wanted to know something about me, what might you ask me?
What's your favorite color?
Great question. And it's a tough question. Not every question is easy to answer. You see, blue used to be my favorite color. Anybody like blue as their favorite color? I mean, blue is kind of the color of my eyes. I'm wearing blue pants and blue socks.
That's the color of my eyes.
What's that?
Blue is the color of my eyes.
My gosh, you have blue eyes too. So then I went to high school, and the school colors were gold and black, kind of a dark yellow. So yellow became my favorite color. Then I went to another school, and they had a certain color of red. Where's Woody? That red was called scarlet, and that became my favorite color. And now my favorite color is all the colors. And that's why my wristband has like all the colors of the rainbow on it.
I noticed that.
You noticed that? Yeah. What else would you want to know about me? My favorite subject, I would say religion, but that I would be lying. I really try not to lie. I liked math and sciences when I was in school, but then I also, when I got to be older, I kind of liked public speaking. Never thought I would, and here I am doing some of it. What else would you want to know? Jack, you got it. Okay. Jack. What do you want to know?
What's your favorite animal?
My favorite animal is a lion, because that's my last name. Kate.
I don't know. I just told him mine.
Okay. Remy's got another one.
How smart are you?
How smart am I? Smart enough not to answer that question. So a lot of what happens in life is that we're always trying to get to know one another, and people are trying to figure out who we are sometimes by what we look like or how smart we are, or a lot of different things. But do you know who really decides who you are? You. That's right. Each of us is responsible for figuring out who we are. And there's a lot of different ways we can look at that, and most of us either are in school or have gone to school, true? You find sometimes school is, maybe they were trying to tell you who you were. Maybe you've ever found like your parents are trying to force you to be somebody. I don't think that's really the case. I think they're trying to help you, trying to help us figure out who we are. And at least at this church, that's our commitment. Our commitment is to try to help one another, you, and have you help us figure out who we are for ourselves. It's only you who can say who you are to the world. Okay? You got that? You okay? All right. Let's sing these kids out to Go Now in Peace and go make some cookies or something good for us. No, not cookies, but something.
And now it's time for Candles of Community, a cherished ritual here at Heritage, where we invite one another each week to share the joys and sorrows and concerns that each one of us might be experiencing. We know from experience that this kind of sharing deepens our connection to one another, and it helps us to carry one another's burdens. It means a lot to know that our joys and sorrows are held in a spirit of love and community. So we'll light one final candle for all the unspoken joys and sorrows that we carry in our hearts today.
Let's settle in. Let's just calm our minds and maybe take a breath or two if that's helpful for you. You can close your eyes or look at these candles, the round window, or straight at me, whatever works for you. Why don't you just notice the world around you, the chair you're sitting on, or if you're at home, the sofa you're sitting on. Notice that there are 100 or more souls here and online breathing with you. Breathing is one of those things that we all share. And I invite you into a time of reverence. Spirit of life and of love. Spirit of community. We embrace this time because we are together. And even as though we carry into this space or into our hearts everywhere we go some sorrows and some joys, we know that by having shared them, they are now shared by all of us. The joys lifting and magnified, and the sorrows, maybe burdens that are alleviated by the care of others. It is so tough to say goodbye to a friend or a friend's parents. It is so joyful to have another turn around the planet. It's sorrowful to care about folks who are in pain, whether it's our own families, in our own nation, or across the world. And sometimes all we can do is to breathe in and to breathe out, and to hold those joys and sorrows in our hearts. So I invite you in a time of silence until you hear the music.
Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
To invite Aaron Walzuski up to help us share our abundance.
Good morning. I'm Erin Walzuski, and I'm here to talk about sharing our abundance. We're talking about our identities today and who are we? And who are we as a church is one of our favorite traditions here at our church, which is that every week when we pass the offering plate, we don't keep the money here at the church. We give it away 100% to a nonprofit organization, either here locally or somewhere in the world that connects with our message for the day or with a timely event. And today our recipient is the St. Vincent de Paul Reentry Program. Now, when I was younger, much younger, I had a very concrete idea about justice. There were good guys and there were bad guys, and bad guys go to jail. And then the older I got, and in particular when I started studying law for my law degree, I came to realize that it's not quite so simple. It's not good guys and bad guys. There's a lot more nuance to it than that. And I came to understand that there are things like systemic racism, where racism and socioeconomic status make a big, big difference in what happens to you when you encounter the criminal justice system. And I don't think any of us have to think very long to think of examples on either side of that barrier for what makes a difference when you come into the justice system. I actually did a reflection on this a few years ago in this church, and I'll give you the short version of that story, which is that on the same day in New York City, I encountered two different people who both had theft of services. One was a cleaning woman who jumped the turnstile on the subway and was taken to jail. She should not have done that. That is theft of services. It was a $2.75 fare on the subway, and she was taken to jail and eventually lost her children because of this theft of services. On the same day, there was a young white man, upper middle class on the Upper East Side, his theft of services was a $37 cab ride. and nothing happened to him. He literally walked down the sidewalk. So just having experiences, encountering things, and particularly in studying law and looking at the difference, really changed my mind about what it means when a person goes to jail. What does that say about them as a person? I had the same thoughts about things like reentry. I had a very simplistic version of, well, they're done now, so they get a job and they get an apartment and they go on with their lives. But I think a lot of us realize now that that's not so easy. So there are programs like St. Vincent de Paul's reentry program that will help with things like counseling. There's a lot of people facing things like PTSD, depression, anxiety, things like job counseling, job skills training, bus tickets, and housing assistance. These are the kinds of things that we can think as we are thinking about how to share our abundance with others in the world. We can help our neighbors who are reclaiming their identities and building their own new identities as they come back and re-enter in a meaningful way through our abundance that we share today. If you're on Zoom, the link will be in the chat, and here in the sanctuary, we will pass the plate for our abundance today for St. Paul de Vincent's reentry program.
Getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me, getting to know you, putting it my way but nicely. You are precisely my cup of tea. Getting to know you, getting to feel free and easy. When I am with you, getting to know what to say. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy because of all the beautiful and new things I'm learning about you day by day.
Thank you so much. If you've never noticed what these plates say, you should do it sometime as they pass by. These are ancient. They go back to the long-term part of our 200-year history. One says, "Gives alms of thy goods." And the other says, "Do good and distribute." That's what we do. Who am I? Who are you? Who are we? And who are we together? These are not just the passing questions of casual conversation. They're questions that visit each of us throughout our lives, often in the quiet hours of the night, during moments of change, or when we step into a new role in life. Our Unitarian Universalist hymn asked, "Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?" Such questions don't have one neat, tidy answer. They are layered, evolving, and deeply personal. When someone asks, "Who are you?" how do you respond? Think about that for a moment. What comes to mind first? Anyone? Family. Your name. Your job, yeah. Relationship to others or children. So maybe for you, as it was for some of the kids, it's as simple as the answer, your name. I'm Bill. Hi. For some, the answer is about work. I'm a minister, a teacher, an engineer, a nurse, a retiree. For others, it is about family roles, isn't it? I'm a parent, grandparent, a partner, or a friend. For some people, they answer with their passions. Sherry might say, I'm a musician, and she'd be right. A gardener, a traveler, an Ohio State fan. And then there are those societal categories we carry, our race, our gender, our class, sexuality, age, ability, citizenship. If I were to list mine, I might say I'm a white, middle-aged, post-middle-aged, middle-class, cisgender, heterosexual man. I'm shorter and rounder than average, with hair and a goatee that's getting grayer by the day. Today I'm wearing a shirt and trousers with a stole, but no tie or jacket. There. Now you know everything you need to know about me, right? Of course not. Because who we are is much more than a list of categories. Identity is not a box to be checked. It's an unfolding story. And yet we live in a world that loves to put people in boxes. Society often latches onto specific pieces of someone's identity. It then makes assumptions and treats them differently based solely on factors like income, skin color, IQ, country of birth, gender, and religion, thereby denying them the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Identity is more than labels. Who we are is shaped not only by the categories others assign to us, but by our relationships, our experiences, our struggles, and our personal growth. Like I said to the kids, each of us, and only each of us, has agency to determine who we are. Anybody here ever had an identity crisis? Who here has seen The Lion King? Some of us? Most of us? All right. There's this scene where the young Simba stares at his reflection in the water, unsure who he's meant to be. He hears a voice that sounds strikingly like that of voice actor James Earl Jones. It is his deceased father, Mufasa, telling him, remember who you are. The young lion's journey is not just about reclaiming a throne, it's a quest about discovering his truest self. And stories across cultures echo this theme. Odysseus wandering far from home, Jane Eyre finding her dignity, Frodo facing spiritual and emotional and physical wounds in his quest, and Celie in The Color Purple, finding her voice and her independence. While these are epic tales, they're not so different from our own. We all face moments that strip us bare and force us to ask, who am I now? Losing a job, enduring a divorce, facing illness, accompanying a loved one through addiction, grieving the death of someone dear, or just living through a pandemic that shook us to our core and made us question our sense of safety and routine. These are some of the ordeals that many of us have faced. Like Simba, my father's unexpected death 40 years ago left me looking at my reflection, wondering who I really was with 1 year left of college. set me on a journey of both trying to honor his memory while forging my own path forward. And a career path provided an answer for a while to who I am, that question. And it served me pretty well for nearly 4 decades. Then a few years ago, the combination of that pandemic I mentioned and my mother's illness and eventual death shook me again. And the events returned me that question, returned me to the man in the mirror, asking him if he was ready to change his ways. To answer the question, and now, who are you? Have you ever looked out or maybe upward and asked, why? Why do bad things happen to good people? Yeah, I don't pretend to have the answer. But I know this. Often on the other side of struggle, we discover a deeper, wiser self, tempered in the fire of the soul. The Tao Te Ching puts it this way: knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. But knowing yourself is not easy. It's a journey, sometimes painful, sometimes liberating, but always, always transforming. So how do we come to know ourselves, right? For many, it's through inward reflection, prayer or meditation, journaling, long walks, or quiet mornings when the house is finally still. Some of you dream of that. For others, it's through relationships. We discover who we are by being with others, by testing ideas, by having someone mirror back not only our gifts, but our rough edges. Seeley in The Color Purple doesn't have the vocabulary of a philosopher, but through prayer, through letters, through the slow, painful process of telling her truth, she discovers her somebodyness. And isn't that what many of us long for? To know deep down we matter, that we are somebody. My own journey here has been shaped in this congregation. Years ago, I came to Heritage in a season of questioning my worth, uncertain whether there was ever going to be a place where I could fit in. And through sermons that stretched my mind, but primarily through conversation in those adult religious education classes Lacey talked about, I found a community where I could express ideas, explore my doubts, and claim a place. In dialogue with some of you that I see, some that we might not have seen for a dozen years or more in this place, I discovered not just who I am, but who I'm becoming. That discovery of dignity, this sense of mattering, it happens for individuals, but it also happens for communities, like a congregation. So we ask, now, who are we together? Our UU congregation is not just a collection of magnificent individuals, which you are. It's a living body with its own identity, story, and spirit. We're not bound by creed, but by covenant, the promises we make to one another. And this congregation has its own history of resilience and challenge and transformation. Over nearly 200 years, people have come and gone. Later, lay leaders have served and retired. Ministries have flourished and ended. And yet, the heartbeat of this community continues. And now we enter a new season of becoming. Many of you know me as a longtime member and a friend. And then 2 weeks ago, as of then, I now serve as your minister. And that changes things a bit. It means I'll speak with a different kind of authority from the pulpit, in church administration, and to the wider world on your behalf. You'll still find me in shorts and jeans sometimes. Other times I'll wear a stole or a robe or even a cleric's collar. Is Rolly here? I don't see Rolly. Rolly can tell you the story. It's usually at marches and demonstrations, so he can tell you about seeing me at a rally downtown wearing both a collar with the white tab and the Progress Pride stole given to me by this congregation on my ordination. So we're down there, and this guy with a somewhat irreverent sign, and there are some irreverent signs. Funny, but irreverent. This guy comes up and says, "Ha ha, nice costume, dude." Enter Rolly to save the day. He slyly steps in and to change the tone and says, "Reverend Bill, it's great to see you down here." Which prompted one of my favorite lines, "Oh, I'm sorry, Father." My kids don't even call me Father. So that's a role. That's a different role that I am leaning into, especially in social justice circles, where it's sometimes helpful to have someone who shows the values I think we care about in a space that we don't always associate someone in the clergy. But my pastoral role here as your minister is to accompany you in times of need. And that requires boundaries that are different from those of a fellow congregant. I'll listen and hold confidences differently than as a close friend. And while this congregation will always be a spiritual home for me, it won't be my church in the same way it used to be. My role as a minister means that my primary focus is to serve your spiritual needs. And to do that effectively, I have to rely on my own support systems and spiritual practices outside of this congregation so that I can be fully present for you. And this is a boundary, one of many that we will navigate together. But it's one that allows me to be the best minister I can be for you. And together in this new role, we're going to be facing some important questions. How do we show up as our best selves with one another? How do we communicate within and without? Who are we as a congregation in this moment? And who are we becoming as we step into the future? Over the coming months, we're going to hold listening sessions and reimagining sessions, more on that next week, adult education workshops like the one that Lacey mentioned, and in December, a startup weekend facilitated by our regional UUA consultants. We'll revisit our mission and vision, we'll retell our story, we'll clarify our shared expectations, we will restate or reframe who we are together. And I did a little research, and I found that only half of our current members were here when those questions were last explored deeply, 15 to 20 years ago. And I see some of you were present and part of that, but half of us weren't. Being in covenant is not just having words posted on our website, our mission and vision, or our pledge for living in the spirit of community. And these foundational statements, they mean a lot to many of us because we crafted them together. There's Rolly. Were you there all along? You were there all along? I'm so sorry I missed it. Wow. Magically appeared. But we crafted those words together so they mean something to us. We dreamed and we discussed, we drafted and we argued in the good sense, and we redrafted and we redrafted until we found a vision. Right, Russ? A lot of drafting going on there. We did that together, some of us, at a point in time. Now in 2025, it is time we ask those questions again. All of us who comprise this iteration of the first Universalist Society, founded in 1827, now proudly known as Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church. And the answers we find will guide us into our third century as a congregation. In her memoir, Becoming, Michelle Obama reminds us that identity is not fixed. We are always in process. She writes, becoming is never giving up on the idea that there's more growing to be done. And that resonates with me. It means we are free from the burden of perfection. It means we're not finished products. At any age and any stage, there's still more to learn, more to offer, more to create. And this is true not just for individuals, but for communities, and I pray even for nations. We could choose to be part of building a brighter future instead of clinging to a myth of a great past. You know, nostalgia can be comforting sometimes, but it can also trap us. It can close our eyes to the truth that the past was never as simple nor as just as we imagine it to be. Who we are is shaped by where we've been, but it's not limited by it. Our spiritual practices, they help us stay present, embracing who we are right now, even as we remain open to change. But change, though often uncomfortable, is where growth happens. So let us keep asking, who am I? Who are you? Who are we? And who are we becoming? Because the beauty of it is, we are not finished. We are still, each of us, becoming. We are still together becoming. As we embark on this new chapter together, let's ask ourselves not just who we are now, but who we are committing to become. What would it look like for all of us in this room and all of us on Zoom to be the community that never gives up on the idea of living into our ideals? Who am I? A work in progress. Who are you? A work in progress. Who are we? A work in progress. And who are we becoming? The answer is still unfolding together, and I can't wait to find out. May we keep asking, may we keep becoming, may we keep creating this beloved community together here at Heritage and beyond our walls. And may it be so.
Thank you, Bill. Our closing hymn is We Are, and we will see it displayed on the wall in front of us. And I'll remind you to rise to sing the hymn and then remain standing for some closing words.
You heard it earlier, now you get to sing it. Why don't we go ahead and make our way toward the outside of the sanctuary? And then as I ask Kathy to head over toward the chalice after she gets a hug, we'll call way up here, all the way up here if we can. Just one moment, one moment. Okay, and as Kathy extinguishes our chalice flame, she's going to do that right now. And then she will join the circle. And I want you to take a look around. Take time to admire who we are. Amazing, unique individuals with inherent worth and dignity and nice ringtones. We got one more coming and joining the circle. There we go. But more than that, we're a vibrant faith community that's still becoming after all these 198 years.